Transformers Legacy Nemesis Leo Prime. Oh boy. So this was a figure that I originally was actually not going to get because I really like the colors on regular Leo Prime, but when I saw the repro label set for Leo Prime, I was kind of like, you know, they're inevitably going to do a repro label set for the Nemesis version, and even if it looks kind of monochromatic, at least in the promotional images, repro labels will come out for this thing, so I want the Nemesis version if it's available, and there is one, so I can deal with the monochromaticness for a bit. And yeah, so I got him, and I've got this attack mode thing going just to get it out of the way because I do not like this. I understand it's homaging the original toy. That's great for the people who like it. I am not one of those people. Not even remotely one of those people. Also, it bums me out that he comes with these little extra guns, as Leo Prime did not come with these. And as you saw, they can combine to make one slightly bigger gun. And this can't store on Nemesis Leo Prime. These guns I keep tucked away indefinitely, so I'm just gonna pop this up and peg these in. They just store in here, in these little tabs go into the slots there. And I just keep these here forever. I did the same thing with Leo Prime because I never ever have a reason to use them. But they're an option, so there is that. And just plug this back in, plug this back in. And now, with those tucked away, these guns can still kind of be used. You can peg them into these little flaps. So you can do that. So there they kind of technically store, but not really. So we're just going to get rid of these for now. We'll look at those more when we get to robot mode. These flaps we're going to fold back and finish, or rather complete the lion's mane, and then these, which these also can come out if you want them to. But again, I keep them tucked in there. Just gonna tuck those away, and we're just gonna pretend that those guns aren't there for now. And instead, we're going to look at Nemesis Leo Prime in his lion mode, and I actually think this is pretty cool. I do have one gripe, well, two gripes about this, which I will get into in a bit. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I think the gray and black works pretty nicely. I like the two-tone look of it. And I think it works better than the white and yellow or gold that they did for Leo Prime, because the color separation, or rather the color matching for Leo Prime, wasn't the best. So like you had yellow next to gold and it was very obvious. Whereas here it's all just black in the main. So it, like the fact that this is painted, and the fact that it's painted is noticeable if you know what you're looking for, but like it's more, this is a bit more glossy than this, rather than a very obvious difference in color. So I think that blends really nicely. I like the fact they used a little bit of that Nemesis flavor for the turquoise metallic-y talons. And I mean, this is, as I understand it, this is meant to, you know, this is like they did a Nemesis Leo Prime. So this is just that color. Like the originally for Beast Wars Neo, was it? Or was it Beast Wars 2nd? Whichever Beast Wars series it was that they did originally introduce Leo Prime for, they did a Nemesis version, and I think that's what this color scheme is for, which is fine. But I do actually think it looks pretty good. Like in person, I'm actually a fan of how this came together. And the colors, again, like because this is all black, it just makes the mane look much more cohesive than it did for Leo Prime, because like you don't have these obvious hinges and stuff even when you look at it from under here, because all the plastic colors are much more closely matched than they were with Leo Prime. That's the one benefit of less complex color scheme, I guess. Even like the underside is pretty clean, and yeah, this is a cool figure. For anyone who's not familiar with the Leo Prime, the Legacy Leo Prime mold, this is actually a pretty darn cool figure. Now, my gripes with this is the way they handled the face. Not the molding. I know people have their problems with that. Like the face and the mane, I don't like the fact that you've got the ears here and the ears aren't painted. I really wish that they had painted those. I feel like I could paint them myself maybe, but I don't know if I want to try because I don't have a color that matches this. And that just kind of bums me out. I feel like it'd be cool if that actually stood out a bit. The other thing is, I do not have a problem with the shape of this face. I know they were going for a more realistic lion. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me about this is supposed to be a nemesis. This is a Nemesis Leo Prime. I really wish that they had painted the eyes red rather than given him the regular like pupil eyes, because like these eyes should have been on Leo Prime instead of the gold eyes that we got. So I feel like if these were red, that would set off this lion mode so much more. I need to look into seeing if there's a way to like take this apart so I can paint the eyes or just paint them directly. I don't know. But yeah, I think that would really, really make a difference for the lion mode. Not the rest of it's okay. I've got the painted nose, painted upper teeth at least. The lower teeth, not so much. But those also go into the face. So maybe they didn't want to scratch the paint. I don't know. But I could always paint that myself later. Yeah. And yeah, it's a lion. I don't know what else to say. The articulation is kind of limited. The forelegs can go forward and back, and then you can rotate here, and that's pretty much it. You can disconnect this piece here, so you can kind of use that for kind of out, but like because of how it all comes together, it doesn't really work, because this tabs in here and this ball joint is shaped kind of weirdly, so yeah, it's not really going to give you much in the way of articulation. The back legs, though, are the robot legs, and they get a bit more movement. So yeah, they're a little bit better at moving, but then you can't move the head at all. All you can do is open and close the mouth. So posability is more or less a statue. You can do very, very minor poses with the lion, but that's pretty much it. If you really wanted to, you could move the tail up and down, but then it does this. Also, I like that for the Nemesis version, this locks in better. For Leo Prime, it was pretty easy to bump this out of place, but here you can see it kind of snaps back into position, so that doesn't really want to come down unless you intentionally force it down. Not like it's going to break or anything like that. It just has this nice little snap to it when it goes into the lion mode position. Okay. Now, let's just keep charging ahead and do some size comparisons. There is Leo Prime with Burnouts, which, yeah, it's Voyager Deluxe, but then also like Beast Mode Voyager, Vehicle Mode Deluxe. So it's a bit of a weird size comparison, but that's how that shakes out. There's Rotor Storm, there is Artfire, and Leo Prime, and Samus. So there's how Leo Prime and the Nemesis Leo Prime stack up size-wise. And let's get you all back out of here. And you. And for the final and most important size comparison of the segment, here is Nemesis Leo Prime with the duck tank. Now, before moving on to the transformation, just want to say, if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done and you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. There's a link in the description, as well as there's going to be one at the end card. If you decide to join, it is a single tier. It's the only one I got. It's $1 a month, and that $1 a month gets you early access to new videos, in addition to supporting the channel. If you'd rather support the channel in ways that don't require money, which is completely understandable, you could always do the usual YouTube stuff of like, comment, subscribe, share, etc. Or there's a different link in the description for a Discord server for Show Z, which is an overseas shop that I've been using for several years. They deal with a lot of like Masterpiece, KO, and third-party stuff. Great customer service, just great site in general. And if you use the link in the description to join their Discord, it earns me a little bit of store credit that I can put towards, or save up and put towards, because it's not a lot of store credit, but you could save it up and put towards buying more figures to make videos on. So with that out of the way, it is time to transform Nemesis Leo Prime. If you are familiar with the Legacy Leo Prime mold, this is the exact same transformation. So to start, I'm going to deal with the back here. And getting this panel in the middle out is always a little bit of a pain. So I'm going to try seeing if I can kind of leverage it. So I'm going to unplug the butt and try and pull this out. So the problem is it kind of like it comes up on one side and then gets stuck on the other. But I'm going to get this out and that out and just kind of hinge everything out of the way. This piece pops up. It actually pegs in a couple of places up here. So as we pull this up, you can kind of see tabs in there and there. So untap that, hinge that up and out of the way. Now we'll do the legs. So I want to straighten out the legs for the robot mode because there's the robot pelvis, obviously. And what I like about this is it's a lot like it is just the figure standing up like a lot of beast formers, but at the same time, there's a lot going on with the legs, which I appreciate. So you can see how these are kind of situated. You can actually extend this joint, and that will kind of snap-ish into place and give you more of a straightened leg. Rotate this 180 degrees, then rotate this 180 degrees. And what's cool about that is it changes how the like you can kind of see here how that like slight angled cut changes the way that this lines up with the calf section. And then I'm gonna flip out the heel, and there is one leg done. It is simple, but I appreciate just how much is being accomplished with these little flips and swivels and whatnot. I don't know, it's cool. So there we go, and that's the lower body. Very, very simple, but very cool. I'm gonna close the lion mouth, flip that up, and now these sections here will untab from the head. There's actually this little tab here that these little bits tab over, and that helps to kind of lock all that together. So with that untabbed, this is not on camera. With that untabbed, this will come apart, and I guess we got to do the torso, but yeah, the torso is like my favorite part of this. So take this, flip that out, rotate it 180 degrees, and put it back. And then flip out the robot mode head, and that will kind of click up and into place. Now you can flip out these fists and untab the lion legs so that we can kind of free up the arm and just get that out of the way. Free up the arm, get that out of the way, flip up the fists. And then these sections come down, and these bits that were the bottom of the lion chest now fold in to reveal the robot chest. And they kind of lattice together and give you the robot chest. I just really like that transformation. Now, actually, while we're doing this, there we go. That's actually the easiest way to get this little chamber open. I'm just going to show you now. He does have his little matrix, I guess, there. It's just this side that has the door, but you can open it, and that reveals that little detail. And it's neat. Nothing comes out, but it's neat. And now we're closing it up and not looking at it anymore. So there is that. I'm going to bring down the arms and take this section, rotate it down, and then take the lion paws, rotate them 180 degrees, and then swing them in and just kind of tuck them inside this flap here. And it's, it's kibble hanging off the forearm, but like that's part of Leo Prime's design. Like I believe the actual show even had the lion forearms or forelegs just hanging off of his forearms. So with all that done, now we can take this armature back here, and it actually rotates. Get these arms forward and out of the way. This armature rotates around like this. So now the line head's over the right shoulder and the butt end is over the left shoulder. Bring this down, and this does not peg into anything, which sucks. I really wish that it could, but the way this all comes together, I can see how it doesn't really fit. But anyway, bring that down, bring the arm down, rotate the lion head, and this actually slides in a little bit. So there, you've got one shoulder, and for this one, you want to take the lion tail, fold it in, and it will tuck inside this little cavity, and rotate that down, and that gives you the other shoulder. And there we have Nemesis Leo Prime in robot mode, and the camera's now a little too high. So yeah, here he is, and he's very cool. He does have a bit of that monochromaticness to him, which it's nowhere near as much of an issue for me in person as I thought it would be based on the promotional images. But he is pretty monochromatic at a glance. Like, you've got that dark kind of gunmetal-y gray for the lion bits, but you do also get this darker gray for like the chest and head areas, the arms, or not the arms, but there are bits that are like this darker gray, and you also have black like the knee pads, the arms, the lion's mane. So there is some color change going on here. It does mix things up, which I do appreciate. It's just it does kind of look a bit like he's all gray with just some turquoise highlights in a few places. But again, there are subtleties to the color that I actually do really appreciate in hand. It's just those promotional images did not help. But he looks cool. The proportions, I think, are actually pretty nice. I do definitely like the kind of lion haunches and lion head mane thing as shoulder pads. I just think that looks cool. It's a neat design. Considering the source material, this is actually pretty clean. Like, really the only kibble he has is this bit on his back and these bits on the forearms, but the bits on the forearms are supposed to be there. So while I'm not the biggest fan of them, I do understand why they're there. And some of the details revealed in this mode are not new. Like, these bits were kind of on the backs of the lion legs, these were on the insides, but they were there. This was under the line, so we didn't really see that, but yeah, there's some nice detailing there with more black and turquoise, which always looks good. The torso section, I really like this, how this whole thing turned inside out, so now you get some gunmetal and dark gray and silver. I love the layered molding here that makes it look like armor as well as abs and pecs. It's a very cool design. He has the silver Maxima logo and ring there, which looks good. No paint on the arms that I'm aware of, but I think it's okay. It's a really subtle thing that's hard to tell, but the arms are a really dark gray, and then the flap and the fist are black. So it does break up the monotony of the arms a little bit, but it's a very subtle color change, so it doesn't immediately stand out most of the time. Again, I feel like that head, the lion head, really could use red eyes there, or possibly turquoise, because looking at the robot head real quick, you can see he's got turquoise eyes. So could have done that. I don't know. Point is, I wish they'd done something with the lion eyes. Yeah, this guy looks really cool. It is a little bit unfortunate how when you look at this guy versus Leo Prime, which I don't have Leo Prime anymore, but the color breakup on Leo Prime was much better because it was white with silver and red and blue and goldish yellow and all these very noticeably different colors. And like this nice robotic molded detail on the sides of the legs was much more apparent in Leo Prime because it was painted like a silver or gunmetal color, and that really stood out against the white. Here it's just kind of molded. It doesn't really like it's a slightly different shade than the lion texture here, but they're so close to each other you don't immediately notice the color difference. And I feel like, I don't know, like the contrast it would have been nice if the contrast was bumped up a bit for some of these details. But again, I'm hoping on repro labels for that at some point in the future. Yeah, let's just move on to the head, which we were just talking about, and that is a Leo Prime head. It's Optimus-y in its shape with like the ears and the little symbol up there, and that very standard Optimus Prime mouthplate that kind of comes up to a point, but it's a lot more harsher with its angles, which is owing to the Leo Prime design, not the Nemesis Leo Prime. I believe this is exactly the same as the regular Legacy Leo Prime head. Nope, that panel wasn't clicked in all the way. But yeah, it's a really nice head sculpt, and I like that they did some little subtle differences with the paint too. Like this, you could see is like a very slightly metallic-y gray or gunmetal color over this plastic, which it's hard to tell, but it is there. It is painted. Of course, the head crest, mouth plate, turquoise eyes stand out. Red probably would work better for a Nemesis, but I understand that this is part of the original design. So I understand the turquoise. I don't mind it, and it pops really nicely against the dark colors, but I do kind of think red would appeal to my Nemesis interest a little bit more. But again, this is like, I believe this guy was the first Nemesis Prime, so they hadn't quite hashed all that out yet. Anyway, for articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but you can't really wiggle left and right. You can look up and down a little bit. There we go. You can look up a little bit, down not so much, but if you disconnect this little panel here, you can angle it down, so there is that. You just have to untransform it a little bit. You get the head rotation, as you saw. The shoulder pads can move up. This guy you kind of have to slide to give yourself the clearance you need, but it can happen. And they can also rotate back like that. So in my experience posing this guy, it's easiest to kind of get the shoulder pads out of the way, move the arms to where you want them, and then bring the shoulder pads back in. So then you don't have to worry about them getting in the way while you're posing. But that is that. The arms themselves can theoretically go 360, but because of all the junk back there, they're not gonna do a full 360, but they've got the range. They can also go out to 90. You get a bicep rotation, you get 90 degrees of elbow bend. The wrists do not move up and down, or they don't rotate, but you can untransform the hand if you wanted to kind of do like a holding a melee weapon forward thing, but that's very loose and it breaks the sculpt a lot, so you probably don't want to do that. The waist can and does rotate, and that does rotate 180 degrees. The hips can go forward to 90 and back to 90, though because of the way the butt is sculpted, they actually have to go out a little bit because it kind of flares out back there. But they can go back and go out a little bit past 90, get a thigh rotation. The knees can bend to 90, and that is it. Because of the nature of the transformation, that double joint only goes this way. So that's not going to help you bend the robot mode knee at all. So got 90. This joint can rotate, which might be good for like subtle differences in the posing if you wanted to rotate it out, but if you rotate it too far, it starts to angle weirdly because of the way that cut works. And then you get a really surprisingly deep ankle tilt. And you can also angle the heels. The heels are pretty nice and tight too, so you can angle those down if you wanted to have him like kind of pushed, like leaning forward slightly, but still being supported. You can totally do that. So yeah, pretty decently posable, and he looks good while doing it. Now for his accessories, he still has the guns in the shoulder pad that can flip out. Still not crazy about those, and he still has the other guns tucked back here, which kind of work as like a jetpack or something if you leave them in there. You can flip these little fur panels around and stick guns onto them if you want. Also, I think because all of the accessories are black, it kind of, and everything else on this guy is pretty black, it kind of makes seeing some of the subtle differences and things a little difficult. So yeah, I don't care for that gimmick at all, but it's a thing you can do. And you saw the Matrix gimmick. He's got his 2 guns that can become 1 gun. I prefer to do the 1 gun thing, plug that into his hand, or you can do this. But as I said, I prefer the 1 gun approach. But if you wanted him dual wielding pistols, you could totally do that. And then there is one more gimmick this guy can do, which is, it's actually not bad. You can flip the lion paws around, and there are these claws that flip out. And you can give him little attack claws on either arm, and that's cool. It looks goofy because of, you know, the lion bits hanging down, but you can do it. And also what I prefer to do is twist them around this way and angle them up, because when they're angled like this, it looks more like the blades are kind of coming off the arm like Wolverine claws. That I think looks better. You still have all this going on, but I do think it looks better. If you wanted to, I know that it's normal for these to actually be facing the other way from the original design. I haven't tried this with Nemesis, but I did it with Leo Prime. You can, or at least there you could, pop these blades out. Boy, those are really in there. Yeah, come on. Okay, I'm not gonna force it. I don't want to break anything, but like, I'm pretty sure you can do it with Nemesis 2. I know you could do it with Leo Prime. You could pop these blades out and rotate them so that you could have the curve going that way rather than this way. And it works, but it also doesn't. Like, it does function. You can do it like that and have them displayed with the blades going the other way if you wanted to do that. But the problem with that is these are sculpted in such a way that when they're tucked in, there's this little notch here that you can use to get the blades out. If these are rotated around, this section is what's facing out, and that is flat. So getting the blades out, if you've popped them out and rotated them, is a huge pain. So if you're going to pop those out and switch them or rotate them, I would say either never put them back in or possibly carve a little notch in there for yourself to help you get these blades out when they're rotated. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, I actually do quite like this guy, as I said. He is definitely a bit on the uninteresting side for colors at first glance, but I do really like how much of like a subtlety there is to his color palette. And I still think that once we get repro labels for this guy, it's going to absolutely set him off. So I'm willing to be patient. The only thing I might do on my own time is paint those lion eyes, because I don't think repro labels are going to do anything about that. But finishing things up with our size comparisons, there is our, well, I guess we'll just do this for now. So here we've got 2 deluxes, a short deluxe and a tall deluxe, and he's a Voyager, so he is taller than both. So there's how he measures up there. And we'll bring in art fires. There we've got a Voyager with a Voyager, and Leo Prime is a little bit shorter, but I think that's fine. And for weird stuff, there is Ova Prime and Samus. That's how that all measures up. And lastly, here is Nemesis Leo Prime with the duck tank. And that does it for Transformers Legacy Nemesis Leo Prime. As I said, like, I really like the core Leo Prime figure, and I really like the colors, but there's a Nemesis option, so of course I'm going to trade that in for or sell that off and get the Nemesis option, as I am a sucker for Nemesis. I believe that's how that goes, right? But yeah, this guy's cool. I love the design, which is just entirely Leo Prime's thing. But design is cool, the coloration is cool, and again, in hand, you can kind of see it on camera too, but in hand there is a noticeable but still very subtle difference in colors between a lot of like the dark grays, the blacks, the lighter grays and stuff. So this works a lot better than it initially seemed like it would. So that's totally cool with me. I think this guy is really neat and was well worth getting, but I also really look forward to seeing what he's going to look like once we get a Reaper label set for him, which I don't know for a fact that that's coming, but I'd be shocked if we didn't get it. With all of that said, that is going to do it for Nemesis Leo Prime. What do you all think of this guy? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching. And next time, we're going to be taking a look at a Nemesis Prime figure that I've been wanting to get for some time and hadn't for a while, and then finally was able to make it happen. We're going to be looking at this one.